sometimes I feel like what I'm trying to say or what I say just makes complete sense in my head, but when I try and deliver it, it's just not exactly what I'm trying to say at all, like whatsoever. I don't know about y'all if you guys agree or not, but I don't know why that's the case. Like in my head, I genuinely know what I'm trying to tell you, but the delivery of it is just so difficult. It's like my mind is always running at 1,000 miles an hour. And like when I'm talking right now, I'm already thinking about what I'm trying to say in 2, 3 sentences. Like I can never just speak in the present. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say? Like you know what I'm trying to say. What could be understood doesn't have to be explained. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm glad that you guys are here again. I want to talk about a little topic about my upbringing and why having a positive outlook on life will completely shift your life entirely. When I was growing up, I used to move around a lot, and every single time it was way more difficult than the previous time. And I remember in 2013, we moved to Houston, and this was like the first time that I've actually stayed at a place for more than 3 years or so. And I remember thinking to myself, if I have to move at this point in my life, it's gonna be the most difficult experience ever. Fast forward a couple months, I get the news that we're actually gonna have to move. And I just remember thinking about how it would be the most difficult experience for me if I had to move. And I was just like, how is it that I always attract my fears for whatever reason? I'm always attracting my fears. And then it was like since the moment that I found out that I was moving until probably like a year into me actually living in Dallas, I went through like every stage of grief, right? I was in complete denial that I actually like even lived there. It's actually funny because whenever we first moved to Dallas, it was in August, and I just remember thinking to myself that we were gonna move back for my, mind you, this is the summer between my sophomore and junior year. I remember just thinking to myself that like I'm gonna move back my senior year, like nothing's gonna stop me from it or whatever. So I spent that whole year with this pessimistic outlook on life. I didn't even want to make friends with people because I didn't even want to risk making these friends, building these connections with people, and then having to move back the next year and like going through the same process that I did with my previous friend group. I remember asking myself, why does this have to happen to me? Why is it my friends get to live their lives and experience everything together and I had to get ripped out of there? You know, I remember asking, why is it that I always attract my fears? I was just asking why about everything. And it's funny because during this year, although I didn't do it consciously, I probably built up a lot of skills that I use now today because I became very self-sufficient. I became very self-aware. I became very independent. I didn't have to worry about finding happiness from the outside. It was more something that I figured out internally. Even though that first year, my junior year, it was so difficult for me. I remember my senior year, I actually decided, it's funny because my senior year, as I said, I thought that I was going to move back to Houston, but my parents told me that that wasn't happening. So as soon as I knew that, I kind of just accepted it. So like all the stages of grief, they ended right there and I accepted it. And then a week later, I was going to football games. I was playing soccer. I was seeing people that I had known from my junior year. And like, it's like my whole life just shifted just because of this little change on my outlook of life. Like I was literally looking at life through this lens and this filter, and I just changed it. And as soon as I changed it, everything in my life completely shifted. And there's two reasons why I'm bringing this whole thing up. Basically, the first reason is that even when you're going through hard times, like I was going through my first year, you're still building up a lot of skills, and there's always going to be some sort of good in it, whether you know it or not. If I didn't go through that phase in my life, I wouldn't be as resilient today. I wouldn't be as strong. Since that moment, since that year, although it was probably the hardest year of my life, I've definitely experienced more difficult situations in my life since then, but I've been able to handle them in a much more mature way. If I didn't go through that experience, I wouldn't have been able to handle these tougher situations later on in life. So every single thing that you're going through right now that you might be thinking is the worst thing ever, it might come back later on in life and serve some kind of good for you. You know what I mean? The other reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's funny how my life literally shifted as soon as like I just accepted that what I'm going through is how it is. Like my life just became so much better. When I look back at my high school experience, senior year was easily the most enjoyable year out of all the 4 years that I was in high school. And it's funny because the year before that, my junior year, was the most difficult. Nothing really changed. I just finally accepted that I was in this situation that I was at, and I can't really do anything about it. And I have to handle what I can control. And one of the main things I can control is how I look at my life. If I'm looking at it through a positive lens or a negative lens. And there's literally no reason to not choose to look at it through a positive lens. And if you're actively choosing not to, then that's on you. And you have to learn. You have to figure out that all it takes is that simple shift in your mindset, and everything in your life can change. And you're going to be a stronger, more resilient person for what you had experienced, right? So if you're going through anything right now in your life that might seem so difficult, seem like the worst experience ever, I felt so lonely at that time, but there's good in it because now I don't feel like I have to be around people all the time. I can I can literally lock in on whatever thing I need to do. I don't have to see if I go a week without seeing people just because I'm focused on what it is and building myself up, becoming the highest version of myself, then it's okay. As I said, if I didn't go through that experience, I wouldn't be able to do these things, right? So, as I said, if you're going through any sort of experience right now, realize that there is good in it, and you can get out of that experience just by shifting your mindset, looking at what the positives are. I promise you this. I promise you this. Because I remember my dad used to tell me this all the time when we moved to Dallas because I was so pessimistic. He would always tell me, you have to look at life through a positive outlook and everything can change that way. And I used to think it was just straight BS. I used to just tell him, like, how can I feel something different than what I'm actually feeling or whatever it is? It's fun. It's actually funny when I look back at it. Like, my life completely shifted as soon as I actually listened to what he was saying, and accepted where I was at. And you guys can too. So if you guys enjoy the video, leave a like, comment, anything, any sort of experience that you might have that's similar to this. If not, just comment what your favorite food is or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for watching, and peace.